Hello, I'm back. My dogs have been barking, so hopefully this will um, go well. So here we are, HTML. Let's add some CSS. So I'm gonna jump back to Sublime, and I'm going to, I want to store my CSS in a folder called CSS, just for organization's sake. And inside that folder, so I'm right-clicking to add folders and files. So I'm going to say New File. I'm going to do Command S to save it, and I'm going to call this style.css. Save it to the CSS folder. Okay, the first thing we want to do is link it. So I want to link it in the head of the document, which is where all those invisible sort of relationships are saved. And I'm going to use Emmet to fill in a link tag. So LINK. I'm going to hit tab, and then it gives me the relationship is a style sheet, and the href is it's going to be, so I'm in index, I want to go into CSS, so I'm going to say CSS slash, and then if I open this up, then I'm going to go to style.css. Okay, so let's make sure that this works. I'm just going to, I'll just change the font. So body, font, family, and then I'll just change it to Georgia just to test it out. Okay, so we've gone from the default times to Georgia. Probably should have done a sans serif, just so we can see it better. Okay, so these are just the default fonts that come generally in browsers. It's Georgia, Helvetica, Verdana, Times, Courier. What else is in there? Oops, can't remember. Let me turn off my notifications. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, we'll just stick with Verdana for now. So one thing, let's look at the inspector. If I right-click on my screen and I say inspect, you can also get there by saying view, developer, inspect. This is on Chrome. And it brings up a little window down here. You can actually decide where you want this to be. So if I click on here, see this dock side? I can actually have it in a totally separate window, which is kind of nice sometimes, especially if you have two screens. I can have it on the left, I can have it on the bottom, on the right. I generally tend to have it on the bottom, and depending on where I'm trying to work in the page. So if we look at the inspect tool, and I'm going to go up to the top of this document to the body. If I click on that, see how there's an orange highlight? Orange is margin. So it's orange is margin, blue is padding, I believe. But I want to make sure that I add, and then see here how we have this grayish body, and then it in the style and the elements, and then it says user agent style sheet. This means this is a default style built into HTML. So we want to override this. We'll mostly be using normalized libraries or reset libraries that will kind of like zero out all this stuff. But for now, let's just get used to finding these things and overriding them. So I want to change margin to 0, and that will make that page flush to all the sides of the browser. So there we go. Our kitty is now flush to the side. Of course, we have terrible no margin on the text that we'll deal with later, but this is sort of general margin zeroing out. Okay. Let's take a look. So let's give things some space right from the start. So we have our header tag, and then we have a big main box that has a section with articles, and then an empty footer. We won't worry about that now. But we want everything to sort of be centered and have some space around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for the header tag and comma main tag, I want to have this style. And so the style for header and main, I'm going to say, give it a width of, we'll just worry about desktop for right now. I want it to be 60%. I can either do 60% or I can do 60% of whatever the viewport width is that I'm in. Those are both kind of equal values. And then I'm going to say, make the margin of that auto. And what that will do is it'll center it. It'll give it 60% and it'll center it within the page. If I was to not do the margin auto, it would make the content 60%, but it's going to default to that left side. Auto margin just sort of is an easy way to center things. Okay, let's see, what else shall we do? Let's give main and header a background color so they can kind of like sit out from the okay, we'll give the body a background image. So there's a site that I love. If you type in subtle patterns, it's on toptall.com. They give you a list of really subtle patterns. Let me see. I just want to like randomly pick one. I kind of like that one. I'll just download that one. Okay, it gives you a zip. If I open the file, open it up, double bubble. Okay, I want to move this into my sites folder. The way I generally do that is I open up another Finder window, go to my folder that I want to move it to, so Web Refresher, and then right now I don't have an index directory, so I want to do that first. I'm gonna say right click and say new folder, or you can do Command-Shift-N is another way. And I'm gonna say images, so that way I can organize my images nicely. The README probably has information about, oh no, it just says subtle patterns. So we'll do a nice intro to, we'll just say image from subtle patterns or something. So I'm going to do just a tiled background image, URL, and then, so I'm in the style file. I need to get out of this CSS directory and go into the images directory. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say .. That gets me out. So now I'm kind of living in the main directory here. Then I can go in to images, and then the name of that file is double bubble PNG. So double bubble PNG. And then it's going to default to repeating. So let's just see what that looks like. I think that might be enough for a background pattern. Okay, it is not working. Let's see what I did wrong. Double dash bubble images. Oh, wait. I'm linking background image. I wonder if it's because the background color is set. Let's do the inspect tool. Let's see what's going on. Inspect. I'm guessing I have a typo and I just don't see it. You're probably all like, ah, it's right there. Background. What if I say background instead of background color? No, it's definitely a typo. If I click on this, it looks like what it should look like. If I rename it and grab the name, just because, you know, typos, URL images, double bubble. I totally had a typo. Did you see that? It was double, double bubble. Oh man. Okay. Woof. Here we go. So there is this background pattern. Now I want the content to be on basically like a white strip. So for header and main also, I want to say background color of, I'll just do the 3 hex value of white is FFF. Okay, cool. So I want these to like be solid and not and have some padding for this text. So let's give the both header and main, we'll give them both padding of 20 pixels. And then the other thing I want to do, that works okay, but the header, the reason why there was space in between is probably because there's some margin associated with that H1. See that margin? I may, just to be safe, get rid of margin bottom on that. Doesn't really matter, but it's something that I'll need to keep track of. I'll just say H1 margin bottom 0. I think I want it flush down there on the bottom anyway. Okay, so now it still has a padding on the bottom, but there's no margin. So I kind of like that a little better. All right, what else? Let's style some links. So there's two styles you need to worry about for links. There's A, and then there's a hover. So I don't like the default underline, so I'm going to say text decoration. Instead of the default of underline, I'm going to say none. So that'll get rid of that. There goes that line. And then let's see, I'm just going to do, I'll just grab whatever happens to be on my Adobe. Color.com, color.adobe.com. Okay. These are kind of light. You want your links to be a little darker. I'll just there. Great. I'll just do the hex value. I'll talk about RGB and RGBA in a different thing because this is going to get really long. So I want the color of my text to be, I always do that, this color. And then for the hover, let's do like a gold. Ooh, that's ugly. Whatever. I'll just grab it. Okay, for the hover, when you hover over it, I want the color to be this golden color. Whoops. Okay, green. Oh, look, I accidentally matched with the kitty. That's very nice. So there you go. You've got a little bit of interaction. This, you know, if I was to test this in a tool that checks for accessibility, they would say that colorblind people would not be able to see the difference between these two. So that's something to think about. Okay, I am going to stop this video and then do one focusing on color. All right, thank you.